What's a secret you'll take to your grave but you'll share with Reddit because you need to get it off your chest? When I was 19, I was seriously considering suicide. I had written letters to my family and everything. The day I was going to do it, my mom took me on a surprise errand. It was a woman selling Chihuahua puppies. My mom had me pick one out to be just my dog. I fell in love with that puppy and knew I couldn't leave her by herself. My mom and that dog saved my life. When I was 26, I got divorced. Should have never been married to that woman, but here we are. I was already in a bad mental state, but that put me to the edge. After the first couple weeks where I was kinda shell-shocked, then it really sank in and I was just looking for the best opportunity to do it. She calls me one day and says she's taking my dog to the shelter because of some bullshit reason. I tell her to duck off, I'm coming to get him. I pick him up and get him home, look down at him and know that as long as I have that little fuzzy fuck, I can't do it. That was 7 years ago and hence the reason I'm alive. I don't know how I'm going to handle it when he passes. My cat got me through a lot of dark times. He died 9 months ago and it still hurts like a bitch sometimes, but what prevails is the many great memories I have of him and the connection we had. I'll never forget all the good he did for me, nor the way he'd jump on my lap and start headbutting my chin if he felt he wasn't getting the attention he deserved. Edit, Cat Tax, Wilson was the sweetest cat, and one of the dumbest too. The headbutting is called bunting and I can't get enough of it. They often also rub their face cheeks on you. Possibly to scent mark you. I wonder how many people in this thread typed out a massive response, only to delete it all and move on. Hashtag X200B, exactly what I just did. Can't wait for all these to be read out loud by Microsoft Sam on a TikTok with some Minecraft gameplay behind them. Don't be so pessimistic. It could be Subway Surfers or a modded GTA map. The amount of empty liquor bottles I found hidden around the house after my husband passed away. I knew that he liked to drink, sometimes a little too much, and it was something we bickered about occasionally, but I didn't appreciate the full scope of how much exactly he was drinking. Maybe 2 to 3 years before his death he started working from home full time, and I'm guessing being home alone all day was when he started going off the rails. Absolutely nothing to do with the circumstances surrounding his death, and I wouldn't want to tarnish his memory to family or friends, so I keep it to myself, but I don't mind sharing it with strangers. A year ago my partner of 8 years left me out of the blue, 2 months before our wedding. People tell me how strong I am and how well I'm doing. Compliment my work ethic, I work 60+ hours a week between 2 jobs, and tell me how admirable my coping skills are. When people ask, I'm quite firm in saying how much better off I am without him and how happy I am. Truth is, I think of him every minute of every day. I work so much to avoid being alone in our house. I still love him. I cry myself to sleep at least twice a week. I think about suicide a lot, and truly I don't think I'll ever love anyone like I love him. He was truly my best friend. We bought a dog a few months before he left me. I don't know where it'd be if she didn't come into my life. So's for the downer post, but that felt cathartic to put into words. I'ma tell you some things that you may not want to hear, but they're things that have helped me. You're 100% correct, you will never love anyone else like you love him. Each love is as unique as the people involved, and that means there will never be another like it. But that's okay, because that doesn't mean that that one is the best of all time. It's just that the next one will be different. It could very well be better. I know that's been the case for me. Time heals all wounds. The mother ducker of it is that it takes time. Grieving is an open wound, it's raw and bleeding, and the pain is bright and sharp. You're going to need to finish your grieving before you can start to heal. I needed to hear this. Thanks. I lit a firework in a public park and panicked, so I flushed it down the toilet. Boom. No more toilet. Whoops, I was 12. I'm so sorry I laughed at no more toilet. I'm glad the toilet perished and not you. My first day as a nanny looking after a baby girl. I take her to the park and I'm taking videos of her and getting her to walk to me. She walks 3 steps to me and then falls on her butt and cries. It occurs to me that I don't actually know if she has walked with her parents yet. She isn't sure of foot yet. Speaking to her mom later on, she tells me she is super close but hasn't walked yet. I figure she must have walked with me because she was feeling clingy without her mom. I never told her parents she walked with me, and it was about 3 weeks later she finally walked for her parents. This is a good secret. Nothing to regret or be guilty of. As a parent, I would prefer to be lied to about this. So yes, good secret smile. My ex-girlfriend's family told me to break up with her because of her erratic behavior. I will never ever let her know this. My ex-boyfriend's mom, when I called to tell her he had dumped me out of the blue and that I was afraid he was manic and alone, told me it is very strange to say this because he is my son, but you deserve better. A few years after I broke up with my manipulative, cheating, and abusive ex-boyfriend, I received an out-of-the-blue text from his mom. I hadn't spoken to her since her son and I broke up. She was probably one of the only good parts of our relationship. She told me in an indirect way how she was glad I moved on, that I was so good for her son and how I helped him so much in his life, but she was so happy to see that I was married and happy with a man and children she could tell were good to and for me. She thanked me for being such a good girlfriend and wished me all the best. She is a wonderful woman and I still feel sad that she has to deal with the fact that her son is a total piece of trash despite how kind and amazing she is. Sometimes the apple falls into an entirely different orchard. What crowd you run with has a lot to do with this in my experience. Teens are very dependent on their social group and will start doing things that they don't really want just to be accepted, and gradually their personality changes. Not as dark as the most in here, but as a teen I had a really bad relationship with my dad, and one day I was really pissed and signed his email up in any freaking newsletter I could find online. He still gets spam mails and doesn't know why. We get along great now. In 7th grade I was invited to a popular girl's birthday party and I took a massive shit in her bathroom and clogged the toilet. I panicked so I just walked out of there like nothing happened. Then when one of the other kids needed to use the bathroom, they came out and screamed out to everyone that someone left a massive log in the toilet and it wouldn't flush. Suddenly the entire birthday party shifted to the bathroom so they could inspect the giant shit I left in there and everyone was laughing. I played along and laughed too, maybe a little too hard because I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Everyone was staring at my shit and had no idea. I specifically remember one of the kids going, "Well, obviously it wasn't one of us, how would that even be able to come out of a kid?" Anyway, everyone eventually decided it was her stepdad who did it. I will never not laugh at the fact that everyone thought a 12-year-old girl shit belonged to a middle-aged man because it was so nasty. The girl whose house it was ended up becoming a major bully in high school, so I felt even more satisfied walking past her knowing they had to clean my shit once upon a time. You didn't have a poop knife? Reddit lore. The first and only time I stole something in my M8 life was from my neighbor who was having a yard sale to take his kids to Disneyland. He had a DS game of backyard baseball and I had the money for it. It was $5 and I wanted it. I went up with the money and he told me that he was going to give it to the landlord's kid who was my age too. I was so mad and annoyed that he was going to get the game for free. A few hours later I went back outside and I saw he wasn't there. I walked up to the stand and I saw the game was still there, so I took it. I also grabbed a bag of golf balls he had for $10 and a few more games that were marked $1 each so he wouldn't think it was me. I then ran into my apartment and the guilt was eating me up. 30 minutes later he knocked and asked if I took the games because he knew I wanted one. I told him no, that I was inside the whole time. I never played any of those games. I felt so damn bad I couldn't put in my DS. I even wanted to take them back, but I knew I would get caught. They did end up going to that trip, and the landlord kid was mad he didn't get his game. I didn't like him, so I was fine with it. I still have that guilt and I remember the prices of everything in the stand. Edit, to clarify, I'm 23 now. Back when I was a wee lad on this game known as RuneScape, there was a scam where you offered a service a player couldn't do, so they would trade you their items. Some guy gave me the best armor in the game, and when he realized I wasn't going to give it back he said, "PLS, give it back, it took so long to get." That was the day I realized I'm not a scammer, gave it back so fast I got friction burn. Haha. Back when I played BattleBlock Theater you could only earn rare heads by trading with someone who had it. Tricked a small kid into giving me one I was missing. He started crying. Gave it back immediately. Kid just started following me around for some time, learning to play the game with me. Eventually learned too much about the kid. He was poor, lived with his mom, etc., so I tricked him into giving me his address and I sent him all my Lego games that I fully completed. Learned months later that he traded them at school for Call of Duty games. Smart kid. This is kinda wholesome. Good on you.